James, welcome.
Hi, Mike. Welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you here, James. And for those who don't know you, James Garner is a quantity surveyor by training, but he's also a project veteran with around 30 years of experience in the built environment. His current position is head of AI and data at Gleeds, where he can indulge his passion for AI and data analytics to the benefit of his employer and perhaps more importantly to their clients. He's a member of the Data IQ 100 and the chair of the Project Data Analytics Task Force. He is also the co-host of the Project Flux podcast, which also sends out a free weekly newsletter, keeping us up to date on the rapid changes in the business AI landscape. And I certainly find that a very useful reference document. It goes deep, but there's a lot of information at lots of different levels there. James is a regular speaker at project management events, which is how we met. There, he promised me a demonstration of how project managers can build up a simple app and use the AI tools available to us to transform the way we do our work. And I persuaded you, James, to let me record it, which is why we're speaking today about how to build a project management AI agent. So once again, welcome, James.
Thank you, Mike. And it didn't take too much persuasion. I love talking to people about this because I think it's really, really important that people see, because we've heard a lot about AI over the last few years, but I think it sometimes can confuse people. And when they actually see it in action, they'll see just how simple it is.
Yeah. And I think this is important because a lot of people, like me, we dabble with the simple tools like the ChatGPTs of the world. We follow things on LinkedIn, particularly where AI is writing lots of people's posts telling us how easy it is, but not actually giving us a demonstration. So I think actually there's nothing quite like seeing it done in front of you to really get a grip of how easy it is and what is achievable. So I'm really looking forward to this. What do we need to do to start?
We just need to, I think I'm going to try and keep this as organic as possible, Mike. And I haven't prepared anything because I want it to feel like that. So I'm going to ask you some questions, actually, if that's okay, to start showing you how these tools can work. And a really important concept that I like to call stacking AI solutions. It's not necessarily one solution. We will go through one particular one today. But before that, if that's okay, I just want to talk to people about what agents are. And then show some examples of some of the things out there. And then before we go into one tool, and then I'll ask you, if that's okay, some questions as we start defining a brief and seeing what we can build in a relatively short period of time.
Yep. Great.
Cool. So when we talk about AI agents, so a lot of people would have played with ChatGPT and the generative AI tools by now. And then they hear this term agent, and a lot of people say, well, what's the difference? Well, effectively, the easiest way to describe it is an agent is an AI tool that actually can take action. And you'll see that in a minute. Actually, so whereas ChatGPT is a very passive thing in terms of you ask a question, it gives you something back. It won't then go and do something unless you specifically tell it to. Yeah. And even then, it's quite limited. With an agent, you actually give it the kind of, taking it to the nth degree, you could give it a task or a mission, and it will keep doing that. And then you talk about something called Agentic Workflows, which is where you get one or more agent working together to complete that task. We're not going to get to that level at the moment in terms of Agentic Workflows. We're going to talk about some very widely available generalized agents out there that can help you right away. Now, there's a difference between generalized agents, some of the tools I'm going to show now, and then kind of very narrow agents. These are the kind of things that companies might build for themselves. This is like looking into a very specific use case. That could be something as simple as dialing into your CRM system and responding to clients, etc. Or it could be even more generalized, but with your company's data. But for this purpose, we're going to go through these generalized agents. And some of them that are out there, is it okay if I share my screen quickly?
Before you do, so let me just be really clear about this. You've talked about generalized agents and specific agents. These generalized agents, are these the platforms on which you build specific agents, or are they two kind of different classes of thing?
Well, they're two classes really. So you've got the generalized agents that you can just buy, pay a subscription for, and start using. And then there's certain things like Microsoft Copilot Studio enables you to build agents, very specific agents for your company. So there's a bit of an overlap between the two, but they're two slightly different concepts. So if you want to, for instance, with Copilot, a lot of people will be familiar with Copilot. If you want to build an agent within Copilot that you can deploy to your team, that needs something called Copilot Studio, Agent Studio, where you can build agents. And that's getting to a slightly more advanced. What we're going to do today is use a very generalized thing, something you can just go, some of them are actually free, but most of them will be like $20 a month, very, very cheap, and you can get cracking with them straight away.
And these agents are the sorts of things that anyone could use to customize their own response to a situation, let's say, rather than, because they're not sequences of activities in a way that old automations are.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's something else. There's one more concept before we go into the demo that's worth talking about. Something called vibe coding.
Yes.
So what you'll see happening with some of these agents is when you look at them, they'll actually start compiling code, which can get a little bit scary for people because most people aren't coders. And this is quite big because it all of a sudden opens up the possibilities of creating apps for people that maybe know very little about coding or nothing at all, and you can talk to it in natural language. So we're not going to go into that specific task using one of these Vibe agent platforms today, but I will quickly show what some of them are. And then we're going to use one in particular today called Manus, which is a quite popular one. And I'll quickly show that when we start the screen share, if that's okay, Mike.
Yeah, that has come through nicely.
Lovely. Okay. It's always good when the tech works, isn't it?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to show you here are some of the tools that are available for vibe coding. So there's one called Replit here, which you can see. There's another one called Bolt.new, and they all do the same things, but you can see the interface here. How can Bolt help you today? And then there's the one that I love, which is called Lovable. No pun intended. And you can see they're all very, very similar. And so what we'll do very quickly is we'll put something here whilst everything else is happening. You can say, ask Lovable to create whatever you want. So I can say, can you create me a website to showcase artificial intelligence in project management? Right, we're not going to I'm just going to leave that in the background and we'll come back to it. It might ask some questions, but just to give you an example of how easy it is. And what you'll see happening is it starts doing some stuff. So we'll leave that'll be our little Blue Peter thing, and we'll come back to that later.
Excellent.
The other one that I wanted to show you was Operator. Now, this is familiar because this is built in to the ChatGPT tool. So if you get the Pro license, which is about $200 per month, you'll get this concept called Operator. And what Operator effectively does is it takes over your computer and can start going in and doing things, which is where the agent idea comes from, because it's actually agentic and it's creating things and doing things for you. The reason I want to show that, we're not going to use that today, but Manus is basically another version of this. They've got slight differences, but it effectively does the same thing. So the one that I'm going to use today, and I find the most powerful, is Manus. And you can see already that the interface is all really familiar. They all look very similar, don't they? And they all look really familiar in terms of ChatGPT. And it is as simple as that. You've got a blank canvas. So you've got a problem, and it says, what can I do for you? And that's the whole point of it. It's meant to be, it's not another SaaS software. You've got to think of it as another employee, something that can do things for you. And it will end up meaning you have to sort of change your workflow slightly because you will have to start using these tools in a different way. So we'll start here, but the other concept I want to talk about is something called AI stacking. So there's all these different tools out there, and we can utilize all these different tools together. So there's also on ChatGPT, people may not be aware, there's a function called deep research. So if we go into here, there's a little button here, which is a little megaphone, that's called deep research. So we're going to use that in a minute to help us with what we're going to ask Manus to do. But before I do that, can I ask you, Mike, we need a case study, something really, really simple that we can start asking to build. So let's pretend we're at the very beginning of a project, something really simple, straightforward.
Okay. Well, I think most people, even if they haven't done it themselves, kind of have a general idea of something like, I don't know, redecoration or perhaps building an extension to their home.
That is a fantastic case study because I think everyone can relate to the pain that comes with that. Everyone's been involved in an extension at some point.
We've probably all watched TV shows based on that, so we're all experts.
Exactly. So,
and I guess ChatGPT has probably watched the same TV programs.
Well, exactly. And that's the thing to remember with ChatGPT is they've got all this information. So I could do a lot of this within Manus itself, but I just want to experiment to you that all these different tools have different strengths and weaknesses. And one of the strengths of ChatGPT is the deep research. So the first thing you might do is say, right, okay, what area would this be in? Let's say, for example, it's where I live in a place called Hertfordshire in the UK. So I could say straight away, I am planning to do a house extension in Bushy, Hertfordshire, next year for a 100 square metre kitchen extension. Please, can you research all and you don't even have to worry about the spelling as people who don't know these generative AI tools, which is great for me because I'm terrible at my spelling.
I was going to say, I've noticed that ChatGPT seems to be very forgiving of spelling mistakes.
That's why I love it so much, I think. So please can you research all the necessary planning, regulations and building codes and risks that I should be aware of. Now, what happens here is I'm going to click this. It's going to ask me some questions. So this is a kind of agent because you're starting to converse with it. And it asks you some questions. To provide the most accurate, please clarify a few details. So you're going to have to help me with this, Mike. Number one.
Okay, well, let's go for a detached property. That's probably quite straightforward.
Yep. So number one, detached.
I grew up in a double-story house rather than a bungalow. So let's go for a double-story. Are you located in a conservation area or is the property listed? Well, in British law, that's going to make life very, very difficult. So how hard do we want to make it? Because I currently live in a listed property.
You can make it as hard as you like.
It might say you can't do it. Because let's say it's in a conservation area but not listed.
Conservation area. But we can also say something like, but please check the details for properties near King George Park in Bushy. Let's give it a little bit more time.
All right. Okay. Do we plan a change of use? No, let's keep it as part of the residential. Close to a boundary with a neighbour. Well, this is the UK. I think most houses are, so I think we'll have to say yes to that.
Yes, on both sides, I'll say.
Oh,
and then
right.
Do you plan on any structural alterations or new?
Well, if it's going to be a kitchen, it will need. But does that by new drainage system? Is that plugging into the existing one, or just does that mean just a new water sources?
Why don't we say that? Yes, there will be structural alterations, and then we will be plugging into existing drainage system.
Yeah.
Right. So, I've done that very, very quickly. Obviously, if you're doing this for a real project, you might spend a bit more time and make sure this prompt is perfect. But I just wanted to do that because then what's going to happen is that this is going to go away and do some serious research. And this is a little misunderstood and people don't really use this enough, I think. So you'll see here, it's saying starting research. When you press this details buttons, it starts showing you this thinking area here. So it's actually thinking and it's going in and it's finding all the relevant information.
Oh, is this searching public databases? And where is it doing this research?
So it'll be the entirety of the internet. And when we talk about things like this, you'll be amazed at how much stuff is on the internet, especially when you're talking about building codes or planning. There's a lot of stuff you can get. So
it knows about the British planning system.
Now, with all these things, nothing's fail-safe. So I always use the bookending analogy, which is human at the beginning, making sure the prompt's right, let the agent do what it's got to do, and then human at the end to check that it all kind of makes sense. I mean, that's to me always a given with any AI tool at the moment. So it's going through and it's thinking. So we're just going to let that run.
Can I ask you a question? I noticed you were polite. You used the word please, and I do, because we were brought up well. Is there any evidence that courtesy and the form of address makes any difference?
No, but I'm not taking the chance.
Yeah, because they will remember who's polite to when they take over the world. They remember who's polite.
The funny thing is, it's actually not good, because the more words you give it, the more tokens you use, you're actually, it's not as sustainable. So to be super sustainable, you should be really curt and really unpolite. But they're not going to take that excuse when D-Day comes. So,
it's the modern version of Pascal's wager, isn't it?
It absolutely is. Yeah, that's the best way of putting it. You see what's happening here? It's going to go for ages, but it's like a human. It's telling you what it's doing, so you can see all its steps. So it's not a black box in that sense, because it's found Heartsmere and it's off and it's doing its stuff. But it's going to take ages. So a lot of these agents take time, which is why I say you've got to then start thinking about changing your workflow.
Yeah, but then you try getting a junior member of staff to read all of that in an hour.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're going to keep that going. And now we're going to go to Manus, which is going to be our main engine today for creating some kind of agent.
So what is Manus? Can you actually give us an explanation of what this type of tool is?
It is a general agent tool. It's an operator tool, because what you'll see it do is it will go off and actually start creating its own browser and go and doing things. A bit like we saw with research, because there's different kind of levels with this. But what this does is it doesn't just do one thing. You'll see what happens is when you give it a task, it will literally lay out the steps that it's got to take, and it will literally start crossing off the steps. I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. So it's not a single source platform like ChatGPT, which does one specific things. It's got that built in. It's got a large language model built in. It's got a research model built in. But then the important thing with it is the outputs. It can do outputs as a PowerPoint slides or a website, or it's got coding abilities. So it's much more multimodal, if you know what I mean. It can do a lot more things than just a single large language model, although it does have a large language model built into it.
So it sounds to me like the sort of thing that a beginner, someone who wants to play as we are, would be a good tool for them to sign up to.
I think this is why I'm showing you this particular one, because it is so easy to get going with and seeing what the impacts are. So there's various different buttons you got here. And it does say, do you want it to be, see where it says agent, tackle complex tasks and deliver results. There's another one here, which is where if you just want to chat to it, that ends up being just like ChatGPT, or create, where you want it to create slides, images, videos, or a web page. So you can do that if you want, or it can just be adaptive. That's the default mode, where it will just do what you want it to do, which is quite interesting. Now, it's not always perfect, and this is a really important skill, is you've got to learn to talk to it. But let's take our example. And let's say actually what we want to do is we want to create a full platform for our new house extension so that we can manage it from the start. As an example, it would be a really good thing to do before we set out. So we can say, so I am planning a new house extension in Bushy, Hertfordshire with a kitchen, and I would like you to create a full project management planning tool that includes cost, schedule. You tell me what else? Risk? Anything else?
I think stakeholders are going to be important if we've got two neighbours and a local council involved.
Stakeholder engagement. And did you mention benefits management?
I think benefits management we talked about earlier is very much on my mind at the moment.
I think what's really important with the prompt here, like with ChatGPT, is being really clear about what you want. So say, I want you to start by developing the output for each of these, and then once we have agreed that, then creating a dynamic website that I can use to manage the project to completion. Right, I'm doing this very, very fast. Now, before I put that in there, what we want to do is give it some information about the project. So I did do a little bit of Blue Peter work beforehand, and I created a little scope, some dummy scope. So you'll see here, background and context, project objectives, blah, 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 blah. There's not much in there, but because there's not much, but just enough information that it's got some idea.
That's one page of just simple notes.
And I've got AI to develop that as well, just as some dummy data. Yeah. So I'm going to upload that. And this is really to demonstrate that you can upload whatever you want here. You could upload drawings if you wanted, you could upload specifications, but we're just going to put that there. So I'm going to say, I have uploaded a very general brief, and then let's see how our ChatGPT's getting on. So this is still working. The good thing about agents is you can add things in afterwards. So it's still going. You can see it's probably at halfway. So we'll leave that running and we'll keep that going. Please ask, and this is really important, always treat the agent as a colleague and say, please ask any questions if you are unsure about any of the brief. And off it goes. And now what you'll see here, thinking, which is a familiar thing, because this is the reasoning model kicking in, which is really, really important. And it will come back to you and start talking to you. I help you create a comprehensive project management planning tool for your house extension in Bushy, Hertfordshire. Let me start by reviewing the brief document to understand the project requirements. Then I'll develop detailed outputs for cost, schedule, risk, stakeholder engagement, right? Now, you see this little things come here, view Manus Computer. This is the agentic part, Mike, because you click here and it's waiting for instructions, but it will show you what it's doing.
Right.
And this is where for me, the distinction with large language model is, because you start imagining where this is going. We're still at really, really early days with this. If it can do this now, what else can it do? And immediately it opens up its own terminal and it's developing some code. And this code is basically telling it to look at that document that we've opened up. So it will go and do this stuff. It's got some code here, Python code, and it's looking at my project brief and it's having a think. Sometimes you have to wait and you let it do things, which is where I think a new skill has to come in for project managers, which is you've got to learn how to juggle these things. Now, remember I told you before that it literally tells you what it's going to do? It's told me what it's going to do. It's going to analyze the project brief and it's going to do these steps. Phase 2, it's going to develop the cost management framework and estimates. Phase 3, it's going to create the project schedule. Phase 4, it's going to develop the risk management. It's literally tells you what it's going to do. Imagine a person doing this.
I think brings me to something I wanted to ask you about, because what we've got here is its statement of work almost. Now, I've heard the term human in the loop, and let's just say I look at that and I think it's missing something. Let's just say, well, it hasn't talked about contractors, selecting contractors. Is this what human in the loop is? The ability to say, hang on a moment. I mean, could you explain that and demonstrate that?
Yeah. So human in the loop, and it's kind of got it built in with this one because you've just seen what's happened here. It's stopped and asked me some questions. But human in the loop can be anything from a hard stop human in the loop, i.e. like this, it will not continue until you give it some information, to a soft human in the loop, which is where you can intervene. So the good thing about this is that at any point you can just stop it and say, you want to take over. I'll show you that in a minute. But at the moment, it's telling me to intervene here. So, and it's really important with what we do that there's always a human in the loop, because we don't want artificial intelligence to take over what we do. We want it to help us. And I go back to the bookending analogy before, making sure we're checking everything. Now we are, because this is a demo, we're going really, really fast and we're going to probably cut some corners just to show what's happening. In real life, you should probably check everything. You're still saving huge amounts of time. But, you know, I guess the danger is and the temptation is you get these outputs and you just send them without checking them. So I will always qualify that with saying, experiment with these things like we're doing now with a dummy projects before you even think about using it on a real project. Always be very cautious about the data that you're using. You know, as long as you follow the right policies and you think about the bookending approach, there's a lot you can do.
As you said, this is like a colleague, and at this stage in its evolution, it is like a junior colleague. It's new into the workplace. It's perhaps newly qualified or not quite qualified at whatever profession it has. And you're its supervisor, and you wouldn't expect a recent graduate to do this much work and then send it to the client directly without...
Precisely. It's exactly that.
Directors, partners, senior managers reviewing their work and critiquing it.
Yeah.
So that the client gets something good, but also... with an agent like this, everything you tell it from now on, it will learn from that and adjust its approach.
That's really interesting. I'll show you a feature on this. It's got a memory and it starts remembering things that you've told it to do, which we can go into a bit later on. If I look down here at, we'll go to that later, actually. Yeah. But basically where we are now is it says, I've analysed your project brief and created a comprehensive requirements based on your 1930s detached property in Bushy, understand, blah, 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 blah. Do you have any specific budget in mind? So it's asking some questions. Let's tell it, let's say 100K.
Yep.
2, do you need financing considerations? I hadn't even thought of that. So
let's say you're sitting on a 100K cash.
That would be nice. And you see the way I talk to it, I've literally, because that's how you can talk to it. Don't try and you don't have to try and make things specifically polite or anything. Just say as what comes to your mind. Number 3, do you have any specific deadline requirement or preferred completion timeframes?
Should we say September 26?
Yeah. Are there any seasonal preferences for construction, avoiding winter months?
This is the UK.
It's all the time, right?
But I guess you don't want to be laying flat foundations when there's the possibility of freezing weather.
Avoid foundations. Winter. Number 5 is, are you planning to live in the property? Let's say yes. 6, do you have any preferences for sustainable?
I'd love it to be as maximally sustainable.
And then 7, will you be managing the project yourself? Yes, with this planner's help. And then 8, how frequently would you like to progress? So let's say weekly. So now I
would like weekly update with alerts of any exceptions. Just immediate alerts of exceptions.
So that simple as that. You respond to it, and what's really good there is you notice there's probably a few questions that are obvious, but there's a few that you probably wouldn't have thought of. So immediately you're getting some benefit because you're dealing with something in a different way. So it's clarified back to you. And what's good here, if there's something that you didn't like, you can talk to it as it's going. So what I wanted to show here as well is, if on the corner here, it's showing the browser. If you click this VS Code, I'm not going to change it now, but if you are a coder or you understand coding, you can actually see the code as it's going as well, which is really, really useful. You see what it's doing here? It's going in and it's searching. It's searching all these different estimators, all these different websites for the right thing. And then you literally see it going in. So at any point here, you can take control. You know a bit about the human in the loop? So you can take it if you wanted to. But look, it's gone to this one. What is the cost of building a house extension in London, Hertfordshire? Fantastic. So this will go and do this. And sometimes these things take quite a while. And it's amazing, isn't it, how the humans, I found myself going, oh, God, this is taking so long. and getting frustrated. And we soon get used to this new way of working, whereas what we're actually doing here would have probably taken at least days, if not weeks, to do some of this stuff. But we set ourselves a new benchmark.
But I'm assuming that you could be, once you're paying for this, can you be running a separate instance of Manus in a separate window, doing separate tasks in parallel?
Yeah, you can do up to 5 at the moment. But I think this is just the start. I think eventually this is going to be our role as project managers, as agent orchestrators. I've started calling myself that because I think that's a key role. Like, we used to manage humans, and we're still going to manage humans, but it's going to be humans augmented by agents. And that's a slightly different skill. It's a slightly different skill to be able to manage an agent than a human, because agents don't have emotions. You don't have to deal with agents being sick, but you've got different problems, like agents not understanding properly. They are quite literal. So it's a different set of skills. And as a good project manager, you're going to need both. You're going to need to understand both.
That literalness, I mean, in a sense, one of the things we've had to do in many parts of the project management world over the last, my career since the 90s, is gradually accommodate ourselves to a wider and wider range of cultural norms as we work with colleagues around the world, as we embrace greater diversity of thinking styles in our teams. And so we need to learn to communicate with humans who have different communication styles, different languages, different cultures. So this is just another set of communication styles and cultural preferences. If we think of it like that, it just becomes another team member, another branch of the rich diversity that we know as project managers make better teams.
Precisely that. And you can see already from what you're seeing on the screen here about how quick the divide's going to happen between those who embrace this and those who don't. It's going to be very hard for people who don't embrace this to keep up. Because and then clients' expectations are going to change as well, because this stuff is, like I said, it's freely available. It's not expensive. It's very, very cheap. So all of that's going to be true, and it's going to be really interesting. So already it's going through this stuff, and it's developed a cost management framework and estimates, and it's moving on to this. Let's have a look how our research is getting on. So you saw what we did before about the research. Now, it can do it within Manus, but I wanted to show this because it's quite powerful.
So this, for people, this is the deep research facility on ChatGPT.
But they've all got a version of it. So Perplexity's got one, Claude. But what's interesting here is it tells you it's found 32 sources. It's read through 32 sources that are relevant. And if at any point you want to see what it's done, it says, like, here, I'm putting together key building regulations like Part A for structural integrity. It tells you the whole thing of what it's doing. So there's all that transparency, I guess, with it. And what it's done is it's created this report, building regulations and risk for double story extension in Bushy. So it's got the whole thing here, and it's gone through here, planning permission requirements. I mean, we won't read
you
it.
could then submit this whole set of information back to Manus and say, I've done this research, please include this in your consideration.
Yeah, in theory, Manus could do this for you, but like I say, one of the skills is knowing what's good. Like, this is one of the best research, and I think Manus is powered by something else. What's interesting here is you see the sources. So it's gone to Hertfordshire Borough Council. So I can take all of this now, and I can on the fly as well. So it's not like you've got to wait for Manus to finish. You can say, copy that, and I can go into Manus and say paste, and you say pasted content. I have done some additional research that might help the job you are working on attached. Like, you could do a lot more and give it. I'm just doing this very quickly just to give you an idea, because what's interesting is whilst it's doing that, it says Manus is thinking. And it will, anything that you can think of as you're doing it. Thank you for the additional research. Let me review this and incorporate it into the risk management framework I'm currently developing. So it really does become like a colleague. Yeah. Because you can, like, in the middle of a task, and some of these tasks, when you're developing something quite big, can take quite a while. You know, some of them a couple of hours, for instance. So you might have something come up that you think of. So it's quite.
It reminds me early in my career of actually getting phoned up. It wasn't late at night, but it was in the evening. I'd left work, and my boss phoned me up and said, "I've just realised we haven't taken this into account. Can you get on that first thing in the morning?" Of course, Manus doesn't sleep. It doesn't get tired. It doesn't get crotchety if you phone it up. So I like this. It's kind of like working with an ideal colleague in many ways, because you don't have to treat it with quite so much respect as you do with human colleagues, because it just doesn't mind.
Well, that's what its whole purpose in the world is, to work. So, like I say, I think the difficult thing is changing your mindset. So, whereas in the real world, you're like, okay, the day's ended, I can't ask people to do stuff. Training yourself to think, well, I'm about to sign off for the day. What can I get Manus doing whilst I'm sleeping? Which is a really different way of thinking. Or what can I do in the morning before I go off to my first morning meeting? What can I get Manus to be doing so that when I come back after lunch, it's got a whole load of stuff done for me that I can review? That's a new skill that I think project managers and everyone, not just project managers, everyone's going to need to understand. So I'm going to let that run for a while. You can see it thinking, but what's really nice, at any point, if you want to go back, you see this cursor here, you can actually see the steps.
You can replay the whole
whole thing step by step, which is really, really cool. So that's doing its thing. Why don't we have a look very quickly about how our little website's getting on that I showed you before? There you go. Remember I asked it to say, can you create a website to showcase artificial intelligence and project management?
Yeah.
There you go.
Wow. It's
just created that for me. I can click here, start free trial. It doesn't have the demos built in, and you can keep talking to it, but it's that easy. If I click publish now, it'll create, I can click publish and it'll create a website that you can deploy to your client straight away. So this is more vibe coding, and this is what I'm trying to get across. There's different ways of doing it. So if I copy link there, and create a new tab and put that in, it should come up.
So that's effectively a local website.
No, this is on the web now. So if I sent this to you, you'd have this AI/project/vision lovable.app.
So it's published that to the internet?
To the internet, yeah.
So who's hosting it?
It's hosted with Lovable. So you can straight away, you see this custom domains here? You can create your custom domain, so you can host it yourself. So you can get a website. Like, I did nothing with that. So you could say to, if you wanted to say to it, do some other stuff, embed a video or whatever you wanted to do.
Now, you published, you haven't created this at all, but you've given the instructions that have caused it to create that, and you've published it on Lovable's site. can another user go in and say to Lovable and say, I've seen this app, could you amend it, or is that now only you that can amend it?
Well, you can make this public so other people can use it as a template, or you can keep it private. So whatever you want, but that's just the start. So the other thing I'd like to do, like that's showing you, that's a very generalized thing. But let's say we've had that working. We've got Manus doing its thing. Let's see how that's getting on. That's still thinking. Let's say we want to think ahead to what we want our website to look like in Manus. Let's say we're actually a contractor and we want to make a website with our logo on it. So the other thing you can do is you can go into ChatGPT. People might not be aware of this, about how you can create images in ChatGPT. So why don't we create a logo for our new website for the house extension, for instance?
Splendid.
So any ideas of what you'd like to call you at this little company?
Well, your newsletter, I think, is called Project Flux. So how about Project Flux Construction?
Yeah, sounds good. Logo for a new website, which is a house builder called Project Flux Construction, and provide it to upload to a new website. So I know we've got a lot of things going on here at once, but this is a really important skill because I'm doing this because I know I'm waiting for other stuff. So it's given me some, again, questions. This is what's so good. This is where the agency comes. It's not passive. It's asking you. So style, let's say classic. It doesn't really matter. Colors, let's say blue. Iconography, let's say a house builder. I'm being really, really lazy, but I'm just trying to, let's say classic font.
But this reminds me of cooking. If you're cooking a meal, you don't kind of put the rice on and then sit around waiting until, and then when the rice is done, you start cooking the chicken. You've actually got to think, right, what do I need to get started first because it's going to take the longest, and you think about the sequence. So the project management skill here, the core project management skill here, seems to me to be understanding the concept of network analysis and critical path.
It is.
And I'm guessing that you could ask some of these tools, I need to work through this project. I'm going to be using the following tools. What should I be doing first? Get it to
exactly.
Very meta.
Yeah, it's you end up using the AI to help you plan how you're going to use the AI, which is a skill in itself. So people might not be aware of how amazing the image capabilities are there, but you can see it's adding details and it's creating.
Funnily enough, I recently used ChatGPT to create some images for a presentation I did to a network called PM's Connect, and it's based in Nigeria, and I didn't want I wanted to use the iconography of superheroes, but I didn't want the classic kind of white Hollywood superheroes. So I asked it for black superheroes. And I was astonished that the results it gave me were better than I could have imagined. I couldn't even think of a way to improve it. It was just fantastic. It
is. It's amazing. And look at that. That's not bad. I haven't put anything. I quite like that already. So let's use that as our logo and put that into there. Now let's go back into Manus because it's finished. It says it's done all this. It says I've completed the comprehensive project management, blah, 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 blah. It's detailed. So it's given me all this stuff. So if you look here, it's given me a budget, a management framework, a risk management framework. The trick here is you'd spend more time with this, looking into it and saying that's not quite right. But I'm going really fast just for the purpose of this video. But it also has all this information, the architect's fees, the planning and regulations, risk management framework here. So you'd spend some time reviewing this in reality and going back and forth. But let's just say for the purpose of this, we're happy with this. So what we want to do is say, this all looks great. Please, can you turn this into a website that I can use to manage the project? My spelling is awful, Mike.
I've noticed.
Now, what I'm also going to do, I'm attaching the logo to use. Please use this as the style of the website. And then as simple as we downloaded it, we're going to upload it.
Yeah.
And then again, off it goes and it does its thing. And now what it will do is, and this can be quite this can take some time to do this because it's actually going in and you'll see it start creating the coding, and you press on this again so you can see the computer.
Yeah.
It's now created a phase 8 and a phase 9 because it was only at phase 7 before. Now it wants to design and develop a dynamic website. It gives you through the steps, design the architecture, develop the cost management module, develop the schedule management module, develop the risk management module, develop the stakeholder management module, benefits tracking module, integrate all modules, and then deploy and deliver the final cost.
Yeah.
And this is what I love about it. It's not like a black box. You don't know what's happening, because if something was missing there, let's say, oh God, I really would like to have some procurement module in there. You could just say, stop for a minute, add the procurement module.
Yeah.
Which is a nice.
And then it would go back and revise everything, review all its work and revise it.
I've got some conversations with Manus that go on for, it's ridiculous, because it's prompted me to do different things, and it's changed my thinking. And I think that's one of the skills that this kind of forces.
But it's like having a trusted colleague, or a smart, even a smart young colleague who is new to the thing. They will ask questions that will make you think differently.
Yeah, exactly. Now this is where anyone who understands any coding will be bewildered, because you literally see it building out the website now. So a lot of this will be familiar to people who are web developers, but it's there doing stuff. Now a lot of this can take some time, like I say, so we can perhaps do some other stuff whilst this is working. Maybe we'll go back to our website. It's incredible. We've gone from nothing, literally a blank piece of paper, to it's done all those other steps that I just showed you there, and now it's off building the website. And it's saying now, like, updating the CSS, which is the code for developing websites, and the whole branding and the colors. It's doing that. So we'll leave that running for a little while, and we'll come back to it in a minute. The other thing I wanted to show, well, why don't we go back to our Lovable website, this one? And is there anything in here that you'd like to change on this one? I know we've got two things running concurrently, but we could. Yeah. I just want to show how easy it is to go back, and let's say we've had an update on this. And
so does this website, as it is this just one page, or is there any depth?
No, it's got some depth. So you've got the benefits up here, the about. It's got a few pages, but not many. But you might want to add a video or something to it, or you might want to add some music.
So it has that benefits thing, that benefits tab at the top.
Yeah.
So is it possible to get it to ask for a list of benefits and then show a tracking matrix of some sort?
Yeah. Can you allow it to ask the user for a list of benefits and then create a tracking schedule from that? That's a good idea. So let's see what happens.
Because this is, it's not massively complex to understand what that's about, but I think it's non-trivial for a project manager to kind of code that up.
Yeah, and what I like is you actually see it happening, and sometimes with something like Lovable, the beauty of it is you can fail fast with something. Yeah. So in the old days, if you had an idea, you'd have to sink a lot of time and money into developing something that might not work. The good thing about Lovable is sometimes it's not the kind of thing, I think, where you can go and deploy something and sell to the market. You'd still need to get a coder to make, because there's security concerns around it, et cetera, et cetera. But it's brilliant for internal use and also for mocking up things.
Yeah.
So proof of concept.
This is a prototyping.
It's a prototyping.
It's not a minimum viable product, because you're not going to put it out there, but it's a prototype that you can use to specify your minimum viable product.
Yeah, exactly. But it might even be a minimum viable product in some cases. But if it's an internal project, tool, yeah. So there you go. It's done that already. So you can say add your benefit name. So if you want to give me a benefit and then a description.
Okay. Well, we're building a new kitchen, so let's have the first benefit as a relaxed family environment or something like that.
And then a description. It can be anything.
Light, airy, spacious, and relaxing.
Yeah. So this is just showing how you could do it, but immediately I've added the benefit in, and then it's in here, and then you generate tracking schedule. Boom. So again, amazingly done. And you might not be happy with the look and feel, but it was just to demonstrate how quick you can do that.
But that's it. I mean, that's astonishing, isn't it? Because immediately I couldn't code that. Yeah. I could possibly use some tools to configure, but this is just doing it all from It's even given dates that you could probably want to adjust. But yeah, the more you specify, and presumably if I then said change it, it would go in and change it. And yeah.
Well, you can go down a real rabbit hole with this, because you can imagine now and I guess part of the skill at the moment, because it's so early with this, is I'm obviously showing what it can do, is understanding what it can't do as well. No. So it can hallucinate like ChatGPT can, and it can go off on weird tangents and little kind of rabbit holes that it can't get out of. So none of these things are perfect yet, but I think it's really important that it will be. I don't think it'll be too long before these things are super, super useful. Let's see how this is getting on now. So this is off, and it's creating the modules. So this is now getting into some real kind of detailed coding that we're just going to have to let run. And like I say, what you would normally do is just go off and do something else whilst this is happening.
Yeah. You've got two tools here. There seems to be two different ways you can work with these things. The example of the Lovable, I mean, if you had a software engineer sitting next to you, you could say, try this, try that. And they'd probably say, well, give me an hour and come back and I'll show it to you. As it happens, Lovable could do it in 2 minutes. And where there is that hour delay, you can go off, you can do some other work, you can
make a phone call. Yeah, exactly. And this is what I talk about with AI. It's going to enable us to do the high value work.
Can any of this talk to existing SaaS tools?
Okay, we get into really interesting territory here now, because there's a concept called MCP, which stands for Model Context Protocol, which allows these AI agents to talk to tools really, really easily. So that is getting easier and easier. And a lot of software, I mean, a lot of project managers might use something called Notion. I'm not sure if you've heard of Notion. Yep. So Notion has an MCP server that allows you to connect directly to it. So if I go to another one here, which is Claude, which a lot of people might be familiar with. I don't know if you've used Claude before, but you can see this connect apps here thing. It adds integrations. So it allows you to easily integrate, and then you can create these MCP servers, etc. Yeah. So it's every day it's getting easier and easier to kind of share data between information. If you go to ChatGPT, in fact, if I started a new chat off, you'll see that if I press plus here, if I've got I haven't got open at the moment actually. Already, if you've got certain, you see it says work with Notion.
Yeah.
Because it's detected that I've got Notion open. So immediately it's talking to Notion, and it will go into my Notion databases, and I can query my Notion databases. So that's getting easier and easier all the time, Mike.
So perhaps there's a limited number of integrations today, but every day there will in principle be more integrations.
Yeah, and it's good that the industry's come up with this protocol, because there was a concern. It's a bit like HTML when the web started. You know, if we hadn't had that, we would have been all over the place with different languages. It's so early, it's still emerging, but I think this came from Anthropic, the people who built Claude, have developed this model context protocol. And think of it like a USB drive for agents that they can talk to things and just plug in and play.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's using APIs in some way.
Yeah, but it's making sure that it can talk to the data and understand it, and everything's in a way that it can digest the data in the appropriate way. So whilst that's all going on, there's one other thing I wanted to show you, which was around Claude. So one of the things that people don't like about AI is it always sounds like AI, right?
Yep.
And you can kind of detect AI. What I like about Claude is it's got this thing called styles. So you can train it on a style. So you can go in and create, let's say you wanted to train it on a particular person. Let's think of a particular person we'd want to train on. It could be you. Is there any website? So why don't I go to your website, Mike? And,
it's okay. onlinepmcourses.com.
Online PM course. I've got that bookmarked already. Of course I have.
Okay. Well, there's some articles. To go to the stakeholder engagement domain, that's a text article.
Okay. So I'm going to take this, and this might not be your actual language. This might be stuff that you've used in a work context, but it will help me unpack. So
while you're doing that, it's worth mentioning that actually a large number of my text articles are actually available on Marvin, which is a pre-trained large language model for project management.
Yes, which has got the practice framework on it as well, hasn't it?
The whole of practice and a lot of other frameworks, and I offered all my stuff that doesn't include copyright from someone else to Marvin to add
Brilliant.
some knowledge.
It's well worth checking that out. I use Marvin as well. It's really good for project managers. So if I wanted to create a new style, I would go in here and I'd say create custom style, and I would add a writing example, and I'll paste some content. I'm going to paste what I've just had there, and I'm going to create style, and it's going to analyze your style. And it's
I was not going to critique it.
Well, I don't think it does. You'll be pleased to know. I'll be more worried about that with my spelling mistakes and what have you. And it says delivers systematic analytical insights through meticulously structured communication. I think that's quite good. So you can change that again, and it's called you strategic synthesizer, but you can call that whatever you want. So I can call this Mike.
Yeah.
So I've now got you trained, and I can write articles in the style that you did that. So let's say you wanted to create a blog about stakeholder management in project management. And then I go here and I go use style, and I'm going to use Mike. And what it will do is it will create it in, well, it's none of these things are perfect.
No, well, it's only got a small sample there. If you're doing it for real, you'd use a bigger sample, of course.
So what it's done is it's create something which should kind of match the kind of style that you had previously. You'll see what it's doing at the moment. It's actually saying it's encountered some issues whilst performing this action. No need to worry. This is absolutely normal because it trains itself. It does something and realizes that's not quite in line with what you've asked me to do. So there's a lot of stuff going on in the background that it's doing and kind of just sorting out itself. So, so sometimes it goes in a little rabbit holes and you need to take it out of it. But like, for instance, it's handling a browser issue at the moment, and it says what it's doing up there. I find it quite interesting just to watch where it's getting stuck sometimes, because then that can help your prompts in the future.
It's like any software engineer or any project manager, basically. We find we take a wrong turn in our thinking and have to reverse our way out of it.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes, it's not unheard of, especially at the moment because it's so early, that it can just fail and then you might have to start again. And that's, part of the lessons as well. And you need to work out, why has it failed? Have I not been specific enough? Yeah. So, there's all kind of things that I'm not saying everything is like rosy and everything will be perfect. It is a new skill that you're developing and understanding what's going on and what's going wrong. But what I'm finding really interesting is it's adding new features all the time. Just in the last week, it's put 2 new features on. It now creates video, so AI generated video, and you can now output in Google Docs or PowerPoint presentation format if you wanted to, straight into a PowerPoint presentation, which is pretty good. Right, this is interesting. It's now, you talk about human in the loop before. This is where it's really good. It's like, Manus is attempting to deploy the service to the public network. Please confirm you agree. And you've got to allow. This is really good because so I'm going to allow this because it's fine. But that's a really good example of human in the loop.
But this is where it knows that what it's about to do would breach its guardrails.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's really important. And I think you can probably say within the prompt how cautious you want it to be. But, I've said yes, and it can remember these things as well. The one thing that I will show you whilst this is going on is the knowledge. See this knowledge base here? This is its knowledge that it's remembering from me. So it's remembering all kinds of stuff that I've told it in the past.
And you can unenable it so that it no longer, if you change your mind on how you want it to operate.
Yeah, you can tell it to do whatever you want to do. So I think that's a really, really handy feature.
Talking about guardrails, we've had it searching. We've seen it searching a large number of public websites. A big concern, I think, at the moment, with in a number of quarters, mine included, I suppose, is breach of copyright.
Yeah,
and the fact that some training models have used copyrighted materials through websites that are not, strictly speaking, legal. What are the kind of guardrails around use of copyrighted material in Manus? Is it only able to search publicly available stuff, or deep down can it actually access stuff that you would feel concerned if it used?
Yeah. So what's sitting behind it is effectively a large language model. So it'll be trained on the entirety of the internet. And then you saw before, you can upload stuff. So you can upload whatever you want to it. Now, this is where you've got to be really careful, because Manus is, as I understand it, a Chinese company. And the whole issue with like DeepSeek is I think it might actually be powered by DeepSeek. It is really relevant here. So if you are at all worried about the data, you shouldn't put it into Manus. And this is where talking about kind of more company specific examples, I spoke at the beginning around Copilot Studio and things like that.
Yeah.
If you're building something for your company or your work, you probably want to do it within a safe environment, which will be like the Microsoft environment will be all within your Azure environment. So you're sure that everything's safe. I'm using this for experimental purposes and for personal purposes. I would not upload client or confidential data to this, much the same way I wouldn't upload client confidential data to ChatGPT, unless you've got like the enterprise version of it. So you just have to be really, really careful with this. But that doesn't stop you experimenting, because this skill is going to become quite normal. And it's very similar to the skills that you would use within a company environment as well.
So from what you said, am I right in inferring that if I am a company, or I want to use the stuff for my client work or for confidential work, there are tiers of plans that I can buy that will guarantee me that information I put into the tool will not leak out of some sort of walled garden.
Yeah, so when you come to things like Operator, which would be OpenAI, they've of course got the enterprise version, and a lot of people will have that already. And then within Copilot, that will be within your Azure environment, so that'll be a lot safer. With Manus, they do also have a paid plan, and they do, I'm not saying that Manus is unsafe, but you'd need to go through your compliance checks with your IT team to make sure it does where's the data going, how is it training the models. I don't know, because I've never used it for any work purposes. I just used it for experiments like this. I think the reality is, like I say, when the Operator one becomes available, that will be the one that's used mostly. But it's the same thing with all of these kind of AI solutions. They're moving so fast. I think it's more important in some ways to just understand and get the skills, so you know what's possible, and then use it for what you feel comfortable using it for, which will be like really mundane stuff, like if you're searching for planning regulations on publicly available information, that's absolutely fine, and creating a report on that. But just be really careful with confidential data, because we don't really know where this data is going to, and with a lot of these large language models, it goes into a bit of a black box. And you can't be sure that it's not training the model somewhere along the line. So I'll just exercise some caution with that. Now, what's interesting, I'm glad that we got to this bit, because you can see it's now developing the website right in front of your eyes. So it's doing the risk management module. It's creating that in front of your eyes. If I go back a couple of steps, it's the project dashboard. It's got a nice little logo up there. It says made with Manus, which is, I find this so interesting. And again, if you see something, what I like about this is it's showing you as it goes. So if you see something you don't like it, you can tell it. So you don't have to wait to the end and go, oh, I've wasted all that time. You can stop it mid-flow, if you like, and say, I'm not quite happy with this particular logo, or what you're doing here is not quite right. We're not going to do any of that now in the interest of time.
We haven't got time. But I think you've made the point. I mean, I imagine whatever anyone thinks they would change looking at that screen now, they could just ask Manus to make that change, and if they don't like how it responds, keep inquiring and requiring until you get what you want.
Yeah, and now it's told me, look at this, it's told me, thank you, live access, your website is permanently deployed and ready for immediate use. It's told you what it's done. What is really cool, I never asked for this, right? It's given me supporting documentation to go with it. I didn't even ask, none of us.
The agile folk would say, hang on a moment, working software over a comprehensive documentation. Here, Manus is giving you both. It is truly hybrid. It is agile and it is predictive.
And there we go. There's our website. And it's not going to be perfect, but I've got my dashboard. I've got my cost management module. I've got my schedule module. I've got my risk management module. I've got my stakeholders module. And it's like we've told it very little, haven't we? We've done this in an hour. But look at this. Look at it. From that, it's got stakeholder directory, Hertfordshire Borough Council, immediate neighbours, building control, main contractor, design team, benefits. It's told us the benefits are going to be property value enhancement, enhanced living space, sustainability. It's given us targets, and then it's got the reports, and it's developed all of this.
For the record, I don't know what time we hit record, but when we first connected on this call was 1 hour and 22 minutes ago. And we've been on the call, we've been recording probably and talking probably for just over an hour. and it's done all of this in that time.
And don't forget, we also developed this website as well.
Yeah, we've got another website.
We've created a clone of you and Mike as well.
Yeah, deep research. We've got a logo. We've got a lot of stuff, and it's all done this in around an hour. And the important thing to note about what we're looking at here is it's done the thinking, and it's done the coding. It's actually thought about the project, which project managers will do, but it's also coded the website. So it's done the task of a project manager and their team, but also a web designer and web developer and their team.
And the thing I would add, don't forget how early this is. So if you're looking at it and thinking, I wouldn't do that, this is only going to get better. As people say to me over and over again, the worst AI you're ever going to use is the AI you use today.
Yeah.
So, but look, and what I love about it is it's dynamics. I asked it to be dynamic, so I can update costs. I can actually go in here. I can update the schedule if I wanted to. It's allowing you to actually work with it. I think it's that's a pretty good result for an hour and 20 minutes work. And then what you would do, and I've done this before, you'd go down a bit of a rabbit hole with this, and it doesn't take this long. Once you've got the base done, asking for changes is actually quite quick. So you go into it, and you make a list of all the things you want to do. You write it in natural language, and boom, it's done.
And if you want to, it'll give you your version control document as well. And
like I say, I could just copy that link and give it to you, and you can look at that as well. It's live on the internet right now. Well,
James, I mean, this has been fantastic, and I could carry on for a long time if I really felt that it's law of diminishing returns, isn't it? We've seen what is achievable. I think the next thing is for people to sign up to free plans on things like ChatGPT and Manus, give them a go and experiment them. And when you discover how much value you're getting, you can then decide whether it's worth the paid plans and the enhanced service. But the last thing I want to ask you, James, is people who are interested in your newsletter, in your podcast, in your thinking, what are the best ways to engage with you? I will put those on the screen and into the description as well. So how can people get in touch and learn more about what you do?
Yeah, so the easiest way is if you go to our website, which is www.projectflux.ai, that's where you can find everything. And we'll also put the subscribe link, if that's okay. I'll give that to you, Mike, and you can put that on the screen. So if you subscribe to the newsletter, that's the best way, because then you'll be informed every time a new podcast drops and every time a newsletter drops as well. And then we've also got a number of blogs where the particular kind of thought leadership piece we want to talk about, that's also hosted on our website, as well as events that we do on behalf of the Project Data Analytics Task Force. So I would say the best thing is to get yourself subscribed to the newsletter. It's entirely free. And then you'll get everything that you need from us, and anything you want to dig into further in terms of podcasts, you can as they arrive.
Perfect. James Garner, thank you very much. I've learned a lot. Pleasure. I hope anyone who's watching will have enjoyed seeing just what you can achieve in an hour with a little bit of knowledge and some fundamentally free tools for the first time you use it. So thank you very much.
Absolute pleasure, Mike. I hope everyone got some value out of it.
Please do give us a thumbs up if you like this video. I'll be creating loads more great project management content, so please subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of it. And I'll look forward to seeing you in the next video.